I almost didn't do this video, but it was just too rich not to do. A week ago, Greg Abbott took to the airwaves to speak for Black people, for Black voters in Texas. And those of us who know Greg Abbott, who know um, who Greg Abbott is, were shocked. Greg Abbott, of all people, speaking for Black voters. Hi, if you're new here, I'm Dorothy Burton, and I do Let's Talk Texas. So when Greg Abbott took to the airwaves to speak on behalf of Black people, it was shocking. What has them rattled, what has this governor rattled, what has Republicans rattled in the state are the polls that recently came out showing James Talarico up by 5 points. Now, two independent polls showed him up by 5 points. Fox poll showed him up by 3. And that is rattling the Republicans. For Greg Abbott, of all people, Greg Abbott, the same governor that has cut every DEI program, ordered DEI programs cut for businesses, for public schools, for universities, the same Greg Abbott who does not appoint when he has opportunity to appoint. He just had an opportunity to appoint 10 Texas Business Court judges that he appointed all white. It's what he does. This is the same Greg Abbott who refused to accept federal money in the tune of $450 million this summer to feed kids. And those kids that he refused, the 450, even it wouldn't have even cost us. It was federal money that he refused that would have fed mostly Black and brown kids and poor white kids this summer. But that's the same Greg Abbott. So when Greg Abbott took to the airwaves to speak on behalf of Black people, I had to pause. We had to pause and take a closer look. Let me show you what I'm talking about. This was shocking, shocking.
Matter is his beliefs about transgender ideology are contrary to where the vast majority of the Black community is in Texas and probably across the entire country. Talarico has a problem with the Black community that goes back to the time when there was the divide between Talarico and Jasmine Crockett. But also that divide is fundamental ideological because the Black community doesn't support these transgender ideas. The Black community is heavily connected to faith and religion, and they are against all of his ideas about sanctuary city policies and welcoming people from coming across the border illegally. They say, what about our community? We've been here all along. Why are you giving free things away to these people crossing the border illegally?
Let me tell you one thing. Black people don't sit around and say, what about us? Black people don't sit around and have those kinds of conversations about, we've been here all this time, so why are they giving free stuff to other people and not giving it to us? We don't have those conversations. They have those conversations. The right has those kind of conversations. Christian, white Christian nationalists have those kinds of conversations. Republicans have those kinds of conversations. We don't have those kinds of conversations. We don't sit around and talk about transgender. We don't have those conversations. And when he talks about Black people are people of faith, yes, we are. But how many people have Greg Abbott, how many Black people has Greg Abbott invited to church? I guarantee you 0, if any, at all. And then he's talking about where the Jasmine Crockett and James Talarico split. Now that's the thing that gets, when are they going to stop using Jasmine Crockett? When? What he wants to do and what the Republicans want to do, because they are running scared because the big donors are still not donating to Ken Paxton. John Cornyn still hasn't endorsed Ken Paxton, whereas Jasmine Crockett has endorsed James Talarico. And James Talarico in every poll is up over Ken Paxton. So what the Republicans are going to try to do, see, they always signal what they're going to do. And Abbott has signaled what he's going to try and do. They are going to come for Black voters. What they are going to try and do is build as many wedges as they can between Black voters and James Talarico to get Black voters to turn against James Talarico, because James Talarico is leading among African Americans. He's leading among one of their most prized demographics, and that's non-college educated. He's leading among their one of their most prized demographics, and that's the independents. James Talarico is leading among Hispanic voters that swung for Trump, Hispanic voters who are typically conservative, who swung for Abbott. And this is what's scaring Abbott and the Republicans. So Abbott took to the airwaves to do this speech on behalf of Black people. Greg Abbott, we don't need you to speak for us because we know who you are. And to my fellow Black voters in Texas, the Republicans are going to try to do everything they can, including using Black people to try and build a wedge between us and our support for James Talarico. We're not confused. We know we have two choices, Ken Paxton, and we know what Ken Paxton is about. It has nothing to do with him not being able to keep his pants up. We don't care about that. But we do care about his policies, and his policies have been detrimental to African Americans. So what they are going to try to do is use every wedge that they can against Black people. Why? Because they know that we are the most vulnerable. They know that we are the most loyal. And they are going to come and try to do these wedges, build these wedges against us, against James Talarico. And when are they going to stop using Jasmine Crockett? I am so sick of them using Jasmine Crockett. That was the first thing out of his mouth, if you noticed. He said that we're still, upset because no, we're not. There are those of us whose feelings are still hurt, but we know what time it is. We know what time it is. So Black voters, the Black population in Texas is the largest Black population anywhere in the country. And they know that if Black voters get behind in large numbers, and that number is snowballing for James Talarico, and Jasmine Crockett has already endorsed James Talarico, whereas Corning has not endorsed Ken Paxton. They are in trouble. And this is an indication of just how much trouble they are in. When you have a Greg Abbott speaking on behalf of Black people, they are in trouble. Greg Abbott does not speak for us. And we will not allow Greg Abbott and the Republicans to use us against our own self, against our own best interests. We're not doing that. So to my Black brothers and sisters, just know there are going to be, and they will use people that look like you and me to do it. Because everybody, a lot of people can be bought for a price. A lot of people can be bought for a price. So they're going to be, because that's what the Republicans do. Just like they ran those false polls at the beginning of the Senate race with Congresswoman Crockett. These are the kinds of things that they do. And Greg Abbott just signaled to us what they're going to do. They're going to try to drive every wedge that they can between us and James Talarico. They're going to use Black people to do it if they need to. And they are going to hope and pray and do everything that they can using Black people, using us. Don't let them do it. Don't let them do it. He's already signaled that. And that's what that was about last week. But Greg Abbott does not speak for us. We know who Greg Abbott is. We know what Greg Abbott is about. And we know what our choices are. And Ken Paxton is not the choice for African American voters in this state. They know it. And more of us are learning it too. See y'all next time.